I'm Raquel. I work for Booking.com in Amsterdam. I'm the senior manager for service design and OpEx within the customer service organization. And today, as you can read, I want to talk about the human-AI collaboration in customer experience and how to balance out empathy and intelligence and innovation in these very quickly evolving times. So before I go into the whole real true slides, allow me 2 minutes just to tell you a very quick story. It's about a review that I actually prepared 2 days ago just to bring it up today from a customer who had a very bad initial experience with us, but ended up with a positive CSAT. So I thought it was an important one to bring up today. The story goes like that. This is an Italian lady that booked with us a flight and an accommodation. And she was traveling with her husband and 2 little kids from Rome to Phuket in Thailand. The connecting flight that they had somewhere in Asia had more than 6 hours delay. So that means that by the time that they arrived in Phuket, it was the middle of the night. The window for checking in the accommodation was far, far gone. So they arrived at the accommodation and there was nobody to check them in. They couldn't get in the room. Now, 2 things had gone wrong up until that moment. First of all, the customer thought that they will be able to check in at any time. So when they were waiting for the delayed flight, they actually just texted the accommodation, said, hey, we're arriving late. The second part was the accommodation never replied or read that note. So there was really a whole mismatch of expectations for both parties. So there they are, they cannot check in, they don't know what to do, the little kid's probably crying, and this is what happened next. They went into the Booking.com app, asked for help. And what happened behind the scene is the following. First of all, the system recognized that this was an urgency reservation. They got the trigger of risk because of the mismatch between the airline arrival to the final destination and the check-in window. So it already prioritized that case for us. So while the virtual agent was taking the whole input from the customer, the system was already getting an experienced agent on the line, was giving that person and that agent, that summary of what it was going to be about, and was also providing a list of accommodations that could be of value and were similar to the ones that they had already booked and that we could relocate them for. So that means that by the time that the customer was put through on the phone with our agent, it just took like 3 to 4 minutes for them to actually be relocated because the agent didn't have to ask a lot of questions. They could just act upon. The second part that happened during that conversation was kind of the human side to it, right? The agent, obviously, when hearing about the situation, showed a lot of empathy. And then also towards the end of the conversation, taking into consideration that it was a family and that they were traveling with kids, he actually just gave some attraction-free tickets to see a dolphin show, actually. And not because it was part of the script, but because it was the right thing to do. And those are kind of the experiences that we are aiming to actually provide. On one hand, we had the AI that handled the urgency and make it efficient and easy. And then we had the human that was kind of taking care of the emotion and actually made it matter. And together, they kind of earned the trust of the customers. And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about today. I'll skip the agenda because you actually have access to it. All right, current landscape. I think we are all very aware that we live in a time where 3 major forces are colliding. First of all, we have sky-high customer expectations that keep growing as we speak. Then we have the breakneck AI innovation. We've talked plenty during all these days here today. And we also have the digital arm race to kind of automate everything. And I think all of us agree that, yeah, those are very important factors to take into consideration if we want our business to keep succeeding in a very near future. But having said that, I also think it's very important that amid all this race and competition and eagerness and excitement, that we realize and we are reminded that customer experience is not necessarily a technology problem to solve, but it's a human relationship to nurture. And that human relationship requires care and not only code. And I'm stressing that because we've heard in previous speakers talking about it, and we saw it in the past, continue seeing it. Those businesses that go and jump blindly into the AI express wagon, and they start building bots, they start layering all the automations, they get all those AI solutions, to only find out that they may have reduced cost, but they may not have improved the customer experience. At times, it's even worsened. And that area is very important, because otherwise we are not getting increase of revenue. And I think you've all been probably experienced all of these situations. You have hallucinations, answers that don't make any sense or contradict themselves, never-ending loops. You cannot choose the option that you actually want. Dramatic situations when you are on the phone screaming to a bot, I just want to talk to somebody, please. So these things happen almost on a daily basis in customer experience. And those are very good examples of bad customer experience. And it's not because, obviously, it's not because of AI and automation being bad, but oftentimes it is because they have been put on an intended solution that does not necessarily anchor on the customer needs, and therefore there's a mismatch. So I think we should flip the model, and it's not about asking ourselves, how can we use AI, but it's more about what does our customer need, and then how can AI quietly empower that? So in that sense, just a piece of advice from my end, let your CX vision and customer insights shape the blueprint, and let AI follow with purpose. Because then we go more into intentional AI, not just intelligent AI. I wanted to share, that's a very simplified overview, but I have 15 minutes today. So this is an overview of how we're scaling the seamless collaboration between AI and our customer service. You have on the left the front end, on the right it's the customer service part. So it starts with the AI trip support. Concept is simple. You get your self-service for your customers. They are able to answer the questions that they have, and they are able to manage their trip. It comes across very much as a chatbot, but the actual fact is that it's an hybrid system. It actually combines the brains of LLMs and learning and machine learning. Then we have the AI voice support, which we are proud to say that in the past year has evolved quite well and quite a lot. And finally, we can say that it's an actual conversational system that doesn't only answer your questions, but is also able to take actions like changing dates, asking for a refund, things like that. Then when AI is not able to solve all our customer issues, then what we want to make sure is that we create a path to a human service. And that path should be seamless and very natural. So that's why warm handovers are critical for us in our AI solution. And last but not least, we have the agent assistant. That is basically how we use AI to support our customer service agents to perform better by guiding them and providing them input so that they can work smarter, more accurately, and more effectively. Now, of course, this is a journey, and it's full of learnings and failures, and some good best practices. So just to highlight some, there's 1,000 bullet points of a list that I could share with you today. But for the AI trip support, one of our main challenges was, and it sounds simple, but it was a challenge, just to make sure that if we were using AI, we were going to make the customer's life easier and not overcomplicated. And one of the best practices that we've been using at this moment is we started with very purposely trying to guide the customer. Initially reactively, at this moment it's becoming more and more proactively so that we can make sure that we avoid unnecessary transitions to customer service. For the AI voice support, challenges, twofold. On one hand, we had, and we still have, we want that it sounds natural and empathetic, and it's not perfect yet. And on the other hand, we also want to make sure that our AI voice is really, truly understanding what the customer needs. So in terms of best practices or learning for us, what we are really now is doing a lot of machine learning on tone adaptation, as well as creating a good understanding of context so that they can remove the noise around what is really relevant. Let's go into the warm handovers. One of our challenges was actually to make sure that the customer did not need to repeat themselves, because it is one of our major dissatisfiers in the customer service experience for Booking.com. So we really wanted to avoid that. And at this moment, what we're doing as best practice is we're using AI to create real-time, full context summaries so the agent can actually read it in advance, be prepared, and be more effective in supporting the customer that is transitioning from the front end. And then we have the agent assistant, and there, one of the challenges was, of many by the way, was the fact that how to keep them focused across so many areas and sources of information, so that they didn't need to just read and keep reading and waste time actually sourcing information. So that's also, in best practice, it's also a summary option that we are using with AI, where it really goes through all the different sources that are relevant to the topic that they are serving and gives them and provides input, as well as some guidance of what's the best approach. And maybe perhaps just a disclaimer on the agent assistant, summary is not the only purpose that we're using it for. Obviously, we also want to aim to use it for things like knowledge management, coaching, guidance, but we're at early stages there, so it was a little bit too early to talk in detail about it today. All right, so what principles are we using for human and AI collaboration? The first one you can already guess, because I kept repeating myself on that one. Seamless collaboration. We really aim for AI and humans to actually form this single integrated system where transitions should feel natural, seamless, and effortless. Then we have our AI for speed and human for trust. We want to try to use AI as much as possible. And we also want to take into consideration to have some control risk here and there, of course. But we want to keep the humans kicking in moments of truth, in moments that matter, and in moments that empathy and that judgment are important. We learn with every interaction so that we keep feeding the machine with human insights so that it becomes better by the next time that they interact. Intent-driven proactivity, also important. That's somewhere we still have some homework to do. And basically what we aim is for AI to predict and anticipate when an issue is going to come and act upon it even before the customer actually notices it. So we move from a reactive approach to a proactive approach where we turn possible issues into actually a seamless experience. And last but not least, we want to be very ethical about the use of AI, so it's important for us to have our customers clearly understanding and being aware when they are using AI and we are interacting with AI, and we always want to have also a path to human service in case it's needed. I'm conscious of time, so I'll go quickly through that. As I mentioned, it's a journey, but there's learnings, there's failures, plenty to come, I'm sure. But it's also good to see that there's positive results already based on our current practices. Just to give you a few examples, last year we increased the gross booking by 12%, but at the same time, we actually were able to reduce the cost for customer service. And that's usually a correlation that doesn't go linear. NPS score also says it was a growth of 14%, and it also is very related to the improvements we are doing with AI, both in the front end and in the customer service part. AI, digital channels are amazing, they're exciting, until they are not. So I think it's important also to make sure that we keep designing experiences with humanity in mind, so that when those moments kick in, that experience comes with context, comes with care, and comes with empowerment. And then basically, you will see, because I need to wrap up soon, they're telling me your time is off, so important moments of truth. You are building trust in customers when, basically, when the experiences are the most negative. Customers don't remember when things go normal or good. It's just the normality for them. But they will remember the exceptional, amazing cases or how you treated them when things went wrong. And those are moments of loyalty that you are earning or basically messing them up. Automation creates a space for empathy. I already touched upon that. And last but not least, I think empathy goes a long way in terms of solving customer problems, but also, they also kind of turn stress into reassurance and a transaction into a relationship. And I think that's very, very important to create loyalty. I'm going through the last slide, so allow me a very big, fat disclaimer for everything I just mentioned. As we look towards the future, obviously, the role of humans will definitely be changing in customer experience. And as AI matures, and as the new generations live in a world where digital solutions always come first, obviously those moments of truth, those moments of empathy, they will be treated very differently. And very possibly it will be done by an amazingly designed AI solution. But I think that, having said that, principles and concepts such as care, trust, and connection, human connection, they will be always at the heart of customer experience, no matter who or what delivers that at the end. So just a final statement from my end, perhaps food for thought. The best experiences are not the ones with the most AI, but the ones with the most alignment between people, purpose, and technology. And that was me for today, so thank you very, very much.